Boys, we finally got some gameplay, and with all the news coming out from EA's development team to the gameplay trailer and other EA college football creators, today guys I've gathered all of that information into a shorter video narrowing down to the 7 most important takeaways that you need to know about EA College Football 25. And if you're excited about this game guys and you're looking forward to some more gameplay content and staying up to date with every single new piece of information, guys, make sure you're subscribed to the channel where I will be covering every single detail that you need to know about this game. The first big thing I wanted to cover guys was the gameplay. Go check out the gameplay trailer. Look at Ollie Gordon spinning out some dudes. Look at Kansas. Look at Air Force running that triple option, guys. The gameplay looks amazing. I don't have to sit here and detail it for you. Obviously you're gonna check that out, but one thing I wanted to dive a little bit deeper on was the CampusIQ feature that EA's development team detailed in their blog. The 3 main pillars of CampusIQ were to make the gameplay feel way more authentic, like a true fan watches a game on a Saturday in the fall. Those 3 pillars are the following: all 22 plus, 134 ways to play, and stories of Saturday. Very quickly guys, I'm gonna highlight all 3. All 22 plus is basically matchups between single individualized players. I don't know if you've ever played Madden guys, but it seemed like there was a very surface level, one level type of blocking from the line, that it was just one cohesive unit just blocking the front line, and maybe sometimes you gotta block on a linebacker. And that's if you don't press the sprint button right away, which was so freaking annoying. You never saw your receivers blocking downfield. You never saw the matchups and the differences between individualized players and made sure that you got your best matchups that you can. And it kind of took the coaching out of the game because there was a lot of cohesiveness in the way things were done. Now the gameplay is way more spread out, feels a lot wider. I explained that in a previous video, but that also allows for more individualized matchups on a one-on-one basis, which has got me super excited about this game. 134 ways to play guys. We got over 1,500 new plays in the game. That is insane. Over 50 new formations that have not been in Madden and 134 playbooks. Now you're gonna have that new turbo system. That is not your regular no huddle offense like you see in Madden. That is literally like Chip Kelly's Oregon offense back in the day. The play action is going to be more realistic in this game as well, which is going to lead me to my final point. The play action in this game is going to be much more realistic. The AI is going to be expecting run on first downs or 3rd and shorts, 4th and shorts. So if you play it risky and do a play action, you can catch them for big yards. Again, this is another thing that I hope they balance well, that it's not super broken either way. Although coaches will not be in the game, we know that coaches will not be in the game. Their footprint on their programs will be in the game because every single offense of the real life coach will be in this game. My hope is that every single playbook does have a unique touch to it. Although I know there's going to be a lot of crossover in different type of plays and different type of things that people are going to try to break and find a meta for. But that's my other hope, is that there's not a meta and I can truly beat a guy if he's running an air raid versus my triple option. I just want to know that I can beat a guy if I can out scheme him and I can out coach him and I can find the matchups and his vulnerabilities in his defense or his offense. And then stories of Saturday guys. This one's a super interesting feature, right? So a freshman is not going to be as composed as a senior. Obviously we know ratings will take into account a lot of that stuff, but obviously a 94 guy is going to be a lot better than a 70 overall freshman, and that's on the good end. But the one thing is that even if it's a 70 overall guy, you could have a junior that's well composed versus a 70 overall freshman who's going to be dropping the ball in crunch time. And that's something that you got to weigh in, especially with the new wear and tear system that we're going to describe in a little bit. And then obviously that also details the hostile environments with the top 25 toughest places to play. I think we just saw a recent leak that LSU is going to be the #1 toughest place to play. I thought it was either going to be that or College Station because that's an insane atmosphere as well. But I'm glad to see that that's back, and the stadium meter that if you ever played NCAA 06 is also freaking back. And I think that was one of the first NCAA games that I remember playing, and I think it's an amazing feature that they're adding that back into the game, and it's going to really gonna pump up the crowd on a Saturday. Every single team is going to have some sort of stadium meter, even if they're not in the top 25 toughest places to play. They also talked a little bit about weather and how that's gonna affect gameplay. Obviously in bad rainy weather, you're gonna have wet balls.
Pause.
And apparently that's going to go both ways, right? So if you get a good tackle, your running backs are going to have a higher chance to fumble it. But in turn, the defenders are going to have a hard time tackling really tough running backs in the rain. It's going to affect the way you throw the ball. A wet ball is going to be harder to throw like it is in real life, and it's going to be harder to catch. So adjustments and playing a little bit more conservative in those environments are going to be a call that you're going to have to make as a coach of a program, which again adds more feel and control to the player and makes you feel like a true coach on a Saturday. And the last thing I wanted to add about the gameplay, guys, is the celebrations are also going to be back. It's going to be a similar system to how it was in FIFA. Overall, that is over 28 celebrations depending on the situation you win. 20 for touchdowns, 4 for interceptions, and 4 for first downs. It's all going to be affected by the right stick in your console, but then you expand on that variation by hitting the left trigger or the left bumper and the right trigger right bumper, and a combination of any of those is going to add one of 20 celebrations to your touchdown. The next thing we're going to discuss, guys, is that wear and tear system, which we covered a little bit in the past, guys, but it's exactly what we had figured, and they gave us a little bit more information in the gameplay reveal. The wear and tear system is obviously going to affect the way your players play. There's going to be more emphasis on what body part they get affected and the body parts that they use most. But maybe you're a pocket passer and an ankle sprain is not the worst thing in the world. Let's just hope that right arm or left arm, that dominant arm, stays pretty good, because then you're going to be screwed. Whereas if he was a scrambling quarterback, he might be more affected by that ankle sprain. You got to take into consideration your play style of that specific player, what body part is affected, and how you're going to manage it. You're going to be able to do that through a couple different ways. You're gonna have coach's vision, right? So how similar how you do in Madden to find who's the X factor on the opposite team or your own side, you're going to be able to see where each player is in terms of the wear and tear system. You're also going to see it in the picture-in-picture format when you're picking new plays, which, by the way, that picture-in-picture format looks amazing. We talked about it in the last video, but we had not seen gameplay of it. I think it's an amazing UI feature that the game just released, and I think it's going to be something that's just going to add a better feel for the game when it comes out. Allegedly, they've also added a lot of wear and tear get up animations, which is amazing, because like in the past when your guy has had like a concussion, he'd like be grabbing his arm on the way out of the field. Like, what the hell was that?
What the hell is even that?
Obviously, it was never realistic. Now, apparently, it's going to be more realistic. When a guy actually hurts his arm, he's going to be grabbing his arm. If he hurts his leg, he's going to be grabbing his leg. I think that kind of stuff is super cool. I don't think it's something that we absolutely really needed in the game, but I just, again, shows you the in-level depth that the development team is going into to make sure that this game is properly done. The biggest note here for the wear and tear system, guys, is that you got to make sure from a week-to-week basis you're managing your team properly. This also affects an in-game situation, right? So if you throw for 50 times a game against a really good opponent, but you needed to do that to beat them, good. If the following week you were playing a bad opponent, but if your quarterback's arm is shot and then you got to go back-to-back with another good team, maybe throwing 50 times in that first game wasn't a great idea. Maybe you should have tried to find a couple different ways to win. If you had to run the ball, maybe do a couple more trick plays, maybe force your defense have a lower scoring game. Finding ways to change the way you win based on a week-to-week basis is going to be huge for this game, and I think I'm very excited of how they do manage that. The one concern we have here, guys, is that I know they said that it's not going to be like Madden, but I know if you have like the dynamic fatigue on in franchise mode in Madden, nobody has that on, because by like week 8 nobody's playing because every single player is fatigued. Madden's franchise feature is broken if you have dynamic wear and tear, so to speak, on there. I'm just hoping that this wear and tear system is actually accurate and it's not killing off all your players by the time you get to the bowl games or the conference matchups. Another thing I want to talk a little bit about, guys, is that presentation, right? The picture-in-picture is so cool. That UI is amazing. You got the formations on the bottom. We got to see a couple new cool formations. You got some coaching stuff that you need to see information on the top right, whether that's, the wear and tear system, composure, statistics that you might want to look at. Then you also have the actual gameplay footage of the stadium on the top left. You get to see the pageantry, feel the atmosphere as you're coaching so you don't lose that touch of college football. I think that's amazing. I think that's huge. Maybe seeing a replay of a really cool play, maybe a play that you want to challenge. I don't know. I think it's amazing. I think that feature is amazing. I think the presentation looks dope. The scoreboard looks amazing. I know they left a little gap on the bottom. Apparently that's where the ticker's gonna go. That's what everyone's saying. I'm super excited about that aspect as well. So obviously there was no ticker at the bottom during the gameplay trailer, but they're going to be adding that. It's not even an ESPN licensed scoreboard, but it still looks dope and I love it. It gives us a really cool feel. It's the bottom of the screen, just like it is in football. Also that, and then the other thing, a presentation, they got refs in the game. I don't know if people cared about that. I know that's always been a big talking topic, but refs are in the game, so I think that's cool. Another thing that's got me really excited about this game. Again, I feel like I have to mention everything that's not super impactful, not that impactful in this game, but I was super excited that they at least got that detail in there. Next, guys, it's abilities, right? So the abilities in the game is going to be a tiered system. We got 4 different tiers, over 80 abilities in the game. We saw them scrolling through a bunch of different things. We've got a couple details on one. For example, one you need to know about for a quarterback is field general. That is that strong mental ability. That is what you need for a quarterback. You got the bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. Every single ability is going to have those 4 tiers. Depending how good of an overall rating a player is at a certain thing that they need, you're going to be able to unlock that next tier. So every player is going to be able to have 8 abilities max, and that consists of 5 physical abilities and 3 mental abilities. Every ability gives you some sort of advantage, but it's never guaranteed, right? So only because you got the sidestep animation doesn't mean that every time you do the sidestep juke to the left or the right, it's going to work. Sometimes you're just going to get tackled because the other guy's also good. I'm sure there's definitely going to be like meta type of abilities that we're going to dive into at a later time once the gameplay actually comes out, and once we've analyzed all the different abilities that there are in the game. Each position group is going to have a certain amount of abilities that they can use that are specific to their position. So I'm excited to see which ones are the good ones for each position, and I'm sure I'm going to have you guys covered with that kind of content that you'll need to know which ones are the best ones for each position group. One that we already saw was the sidestep. Another, I think, critical one's going to be that field general. You don't want your quarterback getting shaken up, in a tough place to play like Death Valley. So you want him to keep composed and keep that ability on. I think that's going to be an important one. Make sure when he's doing his audibles, he's not messing it up. He's not, guys are listening to him. He's really commanding the field when he's out there. I'm glad there's not going to be some sort of X factors. I feel like those are, they've been taken too far in Madden, but abilities seem necessary just to make sure that some players have some sort of advantage to make them unique on Saturdays. And another thing I wanted to talk about, guys, was the new revamped passing mechanics. Obviously, we saw the bar. We heard about the bar coming, but we actually saw it in the gameplay trailer reveal. We saw that there is a bar. Things you need to know about that bar is that you want to be in the blue. Yellow, it's okay, and then red is no bueno. That is going to be when you probably going to be highly missing throws. Making sure the release and the timing of those throws are accurate. Obviously, as a more accurate, higher rated quarterback that you have, the more forgiving it's going to be. I think we saw a lot of bullet throws with that passing system, but I'm curious to see how how the deep balls are going to work when you lob them versus how you bullet them. The intermediate throws, right over the linebackers. I'm curious to see how that meter is going to work, because it'll seem like that meter is throwing only bullets, but I'm excited to see how that actually works when the gameplay actually comes out and we learn a little bit more about that detail. Apparently, there's also going to be a new pump fake though. That pump fake is going to be amazing because they said they did a lot of work on it. So maybe, those pump and goes, RPO pump and goes are actually going to work. Maybe, as the AI gets a little bit smarter, because that's something I'm going to cover later, maybe those pump fakes actually work now because they're actually going to be, getting leverage. If you run a bubble a lot and you keep running that bubble and it's more like real life, the AI is going to start coming up, and then you pump that bubble and then you take a shot. That's going to be really cool because that's a lot of X's and O's, and that gives people that know football an advantage in this game, which is going to make a lot of us love this game even more, especially people like myself. And the final thing, guys, is that we saw that every single team has 12 different hot routes. You know how in Madden you need to have the hot route ability? Well, now you have 12 routes, 12 adjustments for each receiver that you can do. Another thing you can do is this: you can stem a route for a receiver. So if you need him to run a 12-yard hitch, he's going to run the 12-yard hitch. I'm sure that's going to work with digs too. If you need him to run a 10-yard dig instead of the 8 like it is normally in the playbook, he's going to be able to do that if you want to stem it, and you can just extend it with some sort of system. We didn't really see that system a lot and how you extend that, but it said in 5-yard increments. So I'm excited to see how that's going to work, and I'm again giving power to the player to make sure that if you're football smarter than your opponent, there are advantages that you can have versus them, even if they have a better team. And the next, guys, is all the trickery that's going to be in this game that's got me super excited. Being a huge fan of football, my favorite football game of all time is the 2007 Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, Boise State versus Oklahoma, because Chris Peterson pulled out all the stops: 18-yard hook and ladder, Statue of Liberty, roll out, throw to the tight end. I mean, with the running back, all that stuff makes football in college more unique because you don't see a lot of that on a Sunday. A lot of teams are conservative, making sure that they play the right way, whereas in Saturday, people get desperate and they try to do a lot of crazy stuff. There's also going to be a do-it-yourself reverse. So we saw Syracuse running a reverse, and apparently you're going to have the option to either actually give the reverse or keep it if you see an open sideline, because they're expecting the reverse to come. If you can set this up, it's going to be amazing. But the do-it-yourself reverse, the halfback direct snaps, the double pass moves, reverse pass, the fake pitch out of the option, these are all cool different features that are going to be added to the game. My one hope with all this trickery stuff is that it actually pays out. I know there's a lower chance of the plays actually getting executed correctly. However, if it does get executed correctly, on Saturdays we've seen how effective they can be. Teams get thrown off and it's an easy touchdown for 6, and it can really change momentum. My hope is that they keep that balance in check and it's not either super easy to do or super hard to do and it never happens. So now you're going to be able to do like a stick shift. You're going to have so much more power on defense now. That's one thing that's always frustrated me, is if I'm covering a guy coming out on a crosser as a safety covering the middle of the field, but then there's a guy running a post behind him and I have a receiver over that I see open, I can move that corner if I just change to the corner with the right stick and break on that post. That is something that's going to be super amazing if you know how to use her. I'm sure it's going to come with its learning curve. I'm sure it's going to be hard to master at first, but that's one thing we're going to try to master and make sure that we teach the community so we're not getting our asses kicked by these 12-year-olds that are going to be jumping on this game. And then finally, the last point that I have for you today is that the CPU will be goated. That means they're going to take better angles. They're going to have real-time coaching, which is them actually making adjustments mid-game. If you've been running it all day, they're going to load the box. They're going to match up their best corner on your best receiver. They're going to try to find mismatches on their offense. If you've been struggling to stop the run, they're going to keep pounding it down your throat.
Pause.
They're going to make real-time adjustments, and depending how bad the team is, that's how slow or quick they'll be to respond. Obviously, a well-coached team is going to respond a lot faster than a poorly coached team. The AI does its homework. The AI actually knows your players, your schemes, who got abilities, who doesn't. They'll do their homework. This has got me super excited because if Heisman can actually be pretty freaking difficult, I think it's going to be a great challenge for the game. I think if you watch the gameplay and you focus on how the defense reacts to the offensive plays, I think it's super cool how they actually fill. They're not super quick to react. If you're running an RPO, allegedly, if you're not run side, the opposite half of the field is going to be playing pass. They're not going to be able to get like broken on a triple option pitch, because every time I pitched in NCAA 14, the guy was gone for 60. Finally, to sweeten the pot and, you know, kind of the cherry on top of all that is at the end of the game, when you take a knee and the game's like mathematically over, people are going to start walking on the field and the game's actually over. You don't have to sit there and wait for the game to wrap up and, you know, people rage quit and stuff. Scott O'Gallagher and the team at EA Development, they just really killed it. It seems like that huge blog post was really in depth. The gameplay trailer revealed all of that. So let me know down in the comments, guys. Let me know which is your favorite feature that is now officially confirmed in EA College Football 25. And boys, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. I'm on the road to 10,000 subscribers and I'm trying to give away some copies of EA College Football at 5K and 10K. But currently over 90% of you are not subscribed to the channel. So subscribe. It's free. But if you guys want to check out the video where I go over every single new team that's coming to EA College Football 25 that was not there in NCAA 14, click this video right here to learn more. And remember, boys, nice guys finish first, and God bless. Peace.